Hey, my name is Steve Martilli, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to manifest with the moon cycles. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I was a bit skeptic when I heard about this. I didn't really think there was anything to it. But I've been reading this book from Dr. Louis Turry, Beyond the Secret. It's an older book, and he talks a lot about the moon cycles in his book that I hadn't really put together or really thought about. So I started to pay attention the last 2 months on how moon cycles was affecting what I was bringing into my life. And so, couple things, caveats to this video. One is I'm not sure I'm 100% a true believer of this yet, but I'm going to tell you what my results have been and what has happened to me. Number two, I'm kind of treating it as an experiment now, and I'm going to keep collecting data as an engineer, as like I am, very analytical, but pulling in information, evidence that supports either that this is true or it's not true. Okay, so I'm not on either side of this. I'm just noticing that it's really changed my perspective of when I intend to manifest things. So first, I'll explain sort of how my understanding of it is. I'm going to keep it real basic, and then I'll give you some examples in my own life, okay, and how I've been doing this and using this. Okay, so there's basically two phases to the moon throughout each month. It's either in a new moon where it's waxing, or it's a full moon and then the moon is waning. Okay, so those are the two different phases or cycles of the moon. In either day throughout the month, if you pick a day, any split time in the middle of a month, it's waxing or it's waning. Okay, now usually the way it works is what I've seen, and I've been checking out some charts on this, is that it usually, when you get a new moon, the moon waxes, meaning it's in a waxing phase for 12, 13 days, and then it goes to a full moon, and then it does a waning phase for, say, 12, 13, 14 days, whatever the number of days it is, okay? So it's usually kind of going back and forth between these two phases. Now, why is this important? The reason it's important is because the new moon is when you want to set intentions, and you want to try new things, and you want to explore, and you want to travel, and you want to meet new people. And the full moon and the waning, so it starts with the full moon, and then the 12 or 13 days or something after that full moon, it goes into a waning cycle, is when you don't want to be doing the things you're doing here. Okay, so that's my understanding of it. Again, very new to this, but this is what happened to me. So let me give you a bit more definition of what this means, and then I'm going to share some examples. Okay, new moon. When you go into the new moon and then the moon is waxing right after that new moon, right, for whatever it is, 12, 13, 14 days, this is when you're going to see the most progress in terms of your goals. This is when you're going to explore. This is when you're going to start new things. You're going to travel. That's the waxing cycle. That's ideal for setting intentions, for desires, for meeting new people. Like I said, starting something new, seeing progress towards a goal. If you're in business, this is the best time to market something new or old, anything to market. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, I realized that marketing cycles are really, really important. You want to be marketing a lot during this time, especially if it's something new, okay? So maybe you'll pay attention to that next time you market something. I'll tell you what happened when I did this, okay? So I actually had been marketing a couple services, but one service specifically, and I noticed halfway between the marketing cycle, I noticed I was in the new waxing moon. And I didn't close any business during this time, but I was marketing the heck out of it, okay? And what I noticed is when I hit the full moon, okay, so this is the harvest. This is when you're collecting, you're receiving, you're reaping the rewards, you're getting into completion. This is when the sales closed, okay? Now, it doesn't always work that way, but this is what I've been noticing, is that when I've got about, I won't get into it, but I've got a bunch of people that I've been marketing to here, and I got about 9 people that I'm waiting to close in this waning moon, okay? Because this is the cycle. Again, assuming that this is true, okay? Now, I've had 2 people close in this waning cycle, and what's even crazier is the one client, I met her in the waxing, and then it went to a full moon, and so she started as a client, and then this was like 2-3 days ago, and then she referred me to someone new during this waning or after the full moon cycle, okay? Here's another example. So I started this new project about, let's say 5-6 weeks ago. And it was a big project where we were going to be helping this company grow from like 2 to 6 million. It's a massive project. But when I met them and I signed the contract, we were in the waning cycle, meaning the end, the reaping rewards, and it was just starting. We were just starting the project, but we were in this cycle. Well, guess what happened? Not that I'm saying that it's because of the moon, but coincidentally, because we started during the waning or the harvest moon, we actually worked for 3 weeks together, and then I realized it wasn't a fit and we didn't work out. It totally like fell apart because we started in this full moon. I'm not saying it's because of that, but that just happened to be the case. We started when it was this harvest moon, okay? I'm talking this full moon cycle. Now, if I would have met the same company and started in the new moon, I'm wondering if that project would have worked out, okay? So what I'm saying is that I've had some successes when I'm doing things that are intentionally designed for this cycle of the moon, and I've had some failures when I'm trying to do intentional things about creating new things in this cycle, and then they become failures. And I'm wondering, oh, well, maybe I should just switch up the timing, and then that way I'll be more successful more of the time. So I'm playing with this. It's an experiment. Like I said, I'm trying it out, and I'm being deliberate about following the moon cycles. Now, if you want to know what the moon cycles are, just Google them. Google, waxing, waning, new moon for September, October, whatever month it is, and then it will tell you the days. And then you can decide, are you going to be doing something new, travel? There's a pretty dramatic example in this book, in Louis Turi's book. He meets this guy. This guy wants to go to Vegas. He wants to fly there. This guy flies, and they're in San Diego, and he's like, let's go fly to Vegas with our girlfriends. And Louis is like, it's a waning moon. He goes, that's the worst time to travel. So he says no. His friend takes off with his girlfriend in this plane, takes off, goes to Vegas. They get a ton of fog in the flight. They crash and they die. And he says it's a pretty dramatic example, but it was because of this waning moon. Is it true? I don't know, but I'm starting to see that there might be something here to explore. And so I'm being very intentional that, for example, we're going to be traveling in December. We're going to be traveling during the waxing moon, okay? Because we want it to be successful. I don't want to get hardships, okay? So progress, exploring, starting something new, marketing something new in the waxing after the new moon, okay? And when you're looking to collect on that marketing, it's going to be in the waning moon. It can be in this phase, but likely around this when you're in completion, okay? So anyways, food for thought. I'm very intrigued by this. I'm going to be playing with this a bit more. If you go and start to intentionally manifest things based on the moon cycles, and something happens and you get an experience that you want to share, please leave it down below in the comments. I want to hear from you because I'm doing this on my own, but I'm like, I'd like to hear what other people are experiencing when they're being deliberate about creating something in this phase and then manifesting and collecting or receiving in this cycle of the moon, and seeing, is there anything to this? Is this just gibberish, or is there something to it? Does the moon have an effect? As a side note, because again, I'm an engineer, this is the scientist part of me, the waning moon is when the moon is the closest to the Earth, so its magnetic field has the greatest effect. The moon, when it's in the new moon or the waxing phase, is the furthest from the Earth. I don't know how that relates back to this, because again, this is all very new to me. But I was attracted to this information, and I started to look at it and being like, okay, I got to be a little bit more deliberate on how I create, and let's see if that has an impact. Okay, so I'm doing this anywhere from, I've got a new book coming out, as you're probably aware. I'm working with a new editor and book designer. We met during this waxing period, and we're officially starting during the wax. I'm not starting here. I'm not starting in this phase. I'm starting in this phase. So yeah, anyways, it's interesting. I'm starting to plan around this, around the moon calendar, to see if it has an impact. I've noticed it has impacted my business so far, and I'm going to continue to play with it and see what happens, okay? So curious to hear your experiences around this. If you try this and you get some great results, leave me a note in the comments below. As always, please subscribe if you thought this was useful. And I'm offering, and obviously if you haven't gone on my waiting list for my new book, which is the 7-Day Manifestation Experiment, How You Create Your World, there's a link down below. You can subscribe to that or get on the waiting list for that. And I've got some free training videos that go out with that. And again, this is something very new. I've started offering these clearing energy sessions. I'm still running them. I've been helping a lot of people with them. So if that is something you're interested, where you feel that your energy is blocked, you feel you have fear, and it's just consuming you and not letting you move forward with your life, then I can help you clear those energy blocks. I've been doing that with good couple handfuls of people, and I'm doing it a little more because I'm realizing there's a lot of people that need the help, and it's not very expensive. It's pretty inexpensive to be honest, and it doesn't take that long. And I give you a recording of our meditations so that you can do this on your own. And I have an intention manifestation meditation as well that I give to clients once they go through and release these energy blocks. Anyways, I hope you found today's video fun and useful. Thanks for watching again. My name's Steve, and we'll talk to you next time.